Do you know what life really feels like after the age of 80? This stage is a new turning point, different for everyone. No matter how much you prepare, there are certain changes that every person must experience. But these are not just weaknesses. They mark the beginning of a new chapter that can make life deeper and more meaningful. At 80, 5 major changes take place. Some may cause worry, some may surprise you, and one in particular brings a new sense of freedom. By understanding these changes, you don't have to fight them. Instead, you can embrace them and make your life easier and more peaceful. Old age does not just mean the loss of strength. It also brings new perspectives that only time can offer. Recognizing these 5 signs can guide you. Changes in your energy and sleep patterns, shifts in your social circle, a deeper relationship with time, changes in memory and thinking, and most importantly, the arrival of a new kind of freedom. For example, the first major change is in your physical energy and sleep pattern. After 80, your daily rhythm transforms. It's no longer just about feeling tired. You begin to operate on a different schedule. Early mornings feel natural, and so do earlier bedtimes. Your highest energy comes in the morning and midday, but by around 2 p.m., your body asks for a real pause. This isn't weakness. It's your body signaling you to slow down and breathe. Take Lucille, an 82-year-old retired teacher. At first, she was anxious because she couldn't stay awake past 9 p.m. and woke up before dawn. But when she learned this was simply part of her new natural rhythm, she changed her routine. She began reading, writing, and doing light exercise in the morning, meeting friends in the early afternoon, and taking a 20-minute rest around 2 p.m. The result? She felt more energy, focus, and peace than she had in years. The biggest lesson is this. At 80, your body is not shutting down, it's becoming more finely tuned. By understanding and accepting these changes, you can improve not only your health, but also your sense of peace and happiness. Once you accept that your rhythms have changed, you stop fighting against your body and begin working with it. This cooperation makes each day feel smoother, more productive, and far less stressful. In fact, many people find that instead of losing energy, they gain more vitality and purpose once they learn to flow with the body's new natural cycle. The second big shift after 80 is in your social world. Many people assume this stage means losing friends or being left out, but the truth is far more uplifting. Your social circle doesn't vanish, it transforms. By this age, superficial relationships tend to fall away because you no longer have the energy or desire to maintain them. Instead, your connections become more authentic, more focused, and far more rewarding. Large gatherings may lose their appeal, while smaller, meaningful conversations become a source of real comfort. A weekly friend might quietly fade from your life, while someone who was once just an acquaintance may become one of your closest companions. This is not social decline, it is social optimization. Your emotional energy becomes precious, and naturally you invest it where it matters most. Take Eugene, for example. At 81, he felt lost when his longtime poker group dissolved. Friends moved away, health challenges got in the way, and suddenly his familiar circle was gone. At first, he felt as if his social identity had disappeared. But when he began volunteering at the library's literacy program, everything changed. He discovered a new community of peers who shared his values and goals. Their conversations were rich, uplifting, and full of encouragement. Even more, his focus on meaningful friendships spilled over into his family life. His adult children noticed his renewed warmth and responded with more honesty, gratitude, and connection. Eugene realized his life hadn't shrunk, it had deepened. If you are entering this stage, there are 4 simple keys to embrace it. First, let some friendships fade without guilt. Not every bond is meant to last forever. Second, stay open to new connections that reflect your current life, not just your past. Third, pour your energy into relationships that leave you feeling understood and alive. And fourth, let go of the pace you kept in your 60s and 70s. At 80, quality matters far more than quantity. The result is a social life that feels more honest, supportive, and satisfying than ever before. You are not losing your social world. You are upgrading it to one that truly fits you. The third great change that comes at 80 is not about your body or your social circle, but about your entire perception of time. This is one of the most profound transformations of aging, and it reshapes everything about how you live. Psychologists call it a shift in time perspective. When you are young, time feels endless. You spend it meeting expectations, keeping up appearances, and chasing goals that others often set for you. But at 80, time feels both shorter and more precious, and that brings a beautiful clarity. You begin to see what truly matters and what doesn't. Days may pass more quickly and stamina may feel lower, but you stop wasting energy on things that lack meaning. You care less about what others think, and far more about what brings you true fulfillment. This shift is not about running out of time, it's about finally understanding what time is really for. Ruby's story shows this clearly. At 83, she had been active in her church for over 4 decades. She organized events, served on committees, and fulfilled every duty expected of her. But deep inside, she was exhausted. Her obligations felt like chores, not joy. Then one day, she made a bold choice. She stepped away from all her roles. Her family and community were surprised, but Ruby began spending her mornings in the garden, hands in the soil, growing flowers and vegetables. Once a week, she volunteered at a community garden, teaching younger members the skills she had built over a lifetime. At first, her family worried she was isolating herself, but in truth, Ruby had never been more alive. She had chosen time spent on passion over time spent on obligation. This is what happens at 80. The fear of missing out fades, replaced by the joy of deliberate choices. You say no more often, not because of limitation but because of wisdom. And you say yes to the things that feed your soul. This shift is liberating because it clears the noise and helps you focus only on what matters. Many people at this stage describe feeling lighter, freer, and more intentional. They don't try to cram in endless activities. Instead, they make sure whatever they do is meaningful. Researchers call this crystallized wisdom, the ability to see through distractions and recognize the essence of any situation. To embrace this transformation, try a few steps. First, look at your week and notice which activities energize you and which ones drain you. Second, practice saying no without guilt to obligations that no longer serve you. Third, lean into conversations and experiences you've been postponing because the time for them is now. And fourth, devote more of your hours to pursuits that bring you joy and peace, even if others don't view them as productive. This shift makes life at 80 more authentic than ever. You stop rushing to keep up with others and begin walking at your own pace, guided by your own values. That freedom of time and clarity of purpose is one of the greatest gifts of aging. As your mind slows in certain ways at 80, something else begins to grow stronger. Your ability to connect past experiences into patterns, to see meaning in situations, and to draw on a lifetime of knowledge for wise decisions becomes more powerful. Carlton, an 84-year-old retired engineer, experienced this shift clearly. In his younger years, he could memorize technical details instantly. But in his 80s, that skill faded. When his adult son came to him with a complicated business challenge, Carlton no longer processed the raw data quickly, but he could see the underlying pattern almost immediately. His decades of experience, woven into deep neural pathways, gave him insight that younger minds missed. This is what your brain does at 80. It transforms into a wisdom engine. Instead of racing to store every new detail, it specializes in recognizing meaning and filtering what truly matters. That's why older adults often excel in areas of judgment, perspective, and human understanding, even if they sometimes forget a new fact or misplace an item. There are practical ways to embrace this change. Many elders find it helpful to use small notebooks, calendars, or reminders for daily details, freeing mental energy for deeper thinking. Activities like strategy games, mentoring, or group problem-solving stimulate the brain's strengths. Learning is still vital, but it works best when connected to what you already know. A completely new skill may feel frustrating, but expanding existing knowledge keeps the mind sharp. At 80, your mind hasn't weakened, it has specialized. You may be less of a rapid recorder, but you've become a seasoned interpreter. You might forget a neighbor's name, but you can quickly sense whether they are kind or trustworthy. You may misplace your glasses, but you can read people's intentions better than anyone else. This adaptation is one of the hidden gifts of aging. What you lose in speed, you gain in profound insight. That wisdom, honed over a lifetime, becomes your greatest strength in this stage of life. The fifth and final change at 80 is perhaps the most surprising. It is not a decline or a loss, it is a gain. You begin to experience a deep sense of freedom and authenticity, the ability to live as your truest self without the weight of the expectations that once defined you. By this age, many of the pressures that shaped your earlier life fade away. You are no longer climbing career ladders, raising children, or trying to fit into society's definitions of success. Responsibilities ease, and what remains is rare: the chance to live fully by your own values, your own rhythms, and your own joy. Constance's story illustrates this beautifully. At 82, she decided she was done being who everyone else thought she should be. For decades, she lived as the proper minister's wife, reserved, cautious, always placing duty above her own desires. But within her was a love for color, art, and bold self-expression. At 82, she finally gave herself permission to let that side shine. She began painting large, colorful canvases, dressing in bright clothes, and speaking her mind openly. Instead of pushing people away, this newfound authenticity made her more alive and beloved. Her grandchildren adored the freer version of her, while her friends found her honesty refreshing. This is the essence of transformation at 80. You stop living for appearances and start living for truth. You let go of obligations that don't matter and discover joy in being fully yourself. Daily life becomes more meaningful because you're no longer trying to fit a mold. You're simply living as you are. For some, this means moving to a dream place, starting a long-desired hobby, or simply organizing each day around what feels important. It's not about recklessness, but wisdom, the courage to honor what truly matters. Many say they feel more like themselves at 80 than ever before, finally free from expectations and roles that once defined them. And this freedom is not only liberating, it's fulfilling. It becomes a gift to both you and those around you. Turning 80, then, is not about decline, but about adaptation. These 5 changes, shifts in energy, friendships, time, memory, and authenticity, aren't losses but refinements. They teach efficiency, deeper connection, purpose, wisdom, and truth. Your 80-year-old self is not weaker, but more refined, specialized for clarity and depth. Aging is not losing who you are. It's becoming more of who you've always been. By embracing these changes, life at 80 can be richer, freer, and more meaningful than ever before.